it's time to sit back and relax with your favorite drink. And listen. Well, it has been said that good friends are like stars. You don't always see them, but you know they're always there. But what if you don't want them there, as may be the case in tonight's tale? My college has a service where you can buy a friend. I bought 3, but there's something seriously wrong with them. Friends. Everyone has them. They're an important part of our childhood and then adult life. Humans are sociable. It's just what we are. We crave social contact, to bond with others and create relationships. Without friends, we would be lonely, unhappy. Well, some would argue, of course. Some would say that we don't need friends. Maybe they enjoy being on their own. Maybe their circumstances make it better for them to be alone. However, for the majority of the human race, well, we all need friends. We all need others to make us laugh, to stop us from falling into an existential hole. We're all self-deprecating, and deep down we hate ourselves. We want others to tell us differently. We want to be judged and loved and appreciated. No matter how much you disagree with me, you know it. Friends are what make us as children and again as adults. And without them, we wouldn't be who we are today. So, why not come and get your own friend today? Buy 1 and get 2 free. It was always the same exact spiel, the same speech. A woman with red hair tied into a ponytail and a lipsticky smile stood outside my college dorms in all types of weather. When it was raining, she had an umbrella, dancing across puddles in the concrete, as if doing that would be more entertaining. In the sun, she wore shorts and a t-shirt, her megaphone glued to her palm. When I first started at Moorhead College, I tried to avoid her, but it wasn't easy. Every morning I'd push myself through the door, halfway through a cereal bar that I wasn't hungry for, and there she'd be, waiting for me, that exact same smile. And somehow she knew my name. I have no idea how. Maybe she was psychic. I started forwards, lunging into a power walk, but she was always faster. Go! Swinging a megaphone, the woman's voice was like wind chimes. Good morning. I smiled. Morning. I tried to twist around to take a different path, but she was already in front of me. Sometimes I wondered if the woman was a vampire. It didn't make sense to me that she could move that fast. Do you have any friends, Cole? The woman murmured. You never seem to have anyone with you. She cocked her head and pouted. Oh, sweetie, you don't have to be lonely, you know. In fact, we have the perfect service. I'm not lonely. My smile became more of a grimace. Well, even when I knew I was. I spent the majority of my time on Discord, talking to internet friends as well as ones I left behind at home. My roommate barely talked to me. And when he did, it was to ask for cash. He brought girls in pretty much every night, so I wore my headphones to get to sleep. And even soundproof headphones couldn't block him out, though. So, well, the woman was right. I didn't have friends, and I was in fact lonely. Hell, I was lonely enough to consider going home. I've been looking at cheap flights back home, and well, it's not exactly easy in the middle of a global pandemic. So instead of telling the woman all of this, I did what I did best. I nodded and smiled politely, even when I wanted to wrench the megaphone off her and throw it in her obnoxious face. Look, I'm trying to get to class, I said with slightly more girth. I'm not exactly the type of guy who shouts. I'd often wondered how the woman hadn't been reported, but then I remembered she was part of the college, part of the campaign to get students, especially lonely freshmen, to buy friends. When I'd first moved in, she was in the parking lot harassing other kids. Move-in day was a perfect time to get students into her clutches. Nobody really knew what to do with her. Some kids told her to fuck off, Some laughed at her. And I wasn't one of them. I was stupid enough to let her bleed her way into my subconscious. It was enough to brainwash me. Still, though, I tried to say I wasn't interested. I even attempted to pretend I spoke a different language on the week I'd started. Well, that didn't work. I only knew broken Spanish from some failed Duolingo lessons. Young man, I can read you. The woman already had her claws in me. She didn't know it. Or maybe it was evident in my expression or my burning cheeks. She knew exactly how to get under my skin, so I guess she was doing her job perfectly. I have friends, I said, this time through gritted teeth. I was slowly losing my patience. I couldn't believe it. My college years were supposed to be the best of my life, and there I was trying to convince a woman I did in fact have friends. On Moorhead, it seemed like the perfect campus, and I was quickly starting to regret enrolling. You don't sound very sure. Before I could speak, she was shoving multicolored pamphlets at me. Here, we're open from 9 a.m. to 5, and we offer discounts to students with financial issues. Oh, also, if you provide them with my name. She pointed to herself, her smile growing. Oh, it's Melody, by the way. She laughed a little like my mum. You know, the fake laugh when you show your parents something and they've got to appreciate it. Well, if you give them my name, when you purchase a friend, you will get a whole 50% off. I nodded along, managing to keep my pasted-on smile. I'm good, I said stiffly. I don't have any money. Melanie fixed me with a frown. Cole, do you know what our service offers? She moved in closer, uncomfortably close, her warm breath feathering my cheeks. Oh, she did that a lot, repeating the same phrase over and over again like I was a toddler with an impressionable mind and would give in to her. Do you know what a friend is, sweetie? You're a freshman, right? You only started a few weeks ago, so you're a long way from home, right? Well, that struck a chord. Yes, I was a freshman, and yes, I was only weeks into my first year at Moorhead, and was yet to make friends. Swallowing thickly, I pushed past her. Like I said, I've got class. I could taste the cereal bar I'd forced down climbing its way back up. When she called my name, I willed my legs to go faster. Of course I knew what the friend service was. Marketed as a way to find like-minded people and create everlasting relationships, the service offered students the opportunity to buy friends. According to Moorhead, it was exclusive to them. I did some digging on the internet about them. All I found were several articles, which most of were positive. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Ridiculous, right? Who would buy a friend? I thought it was bullshit. The college were just draining kids of cash they already didn't have, so lonely freshmen could pretend they actually had friends. It was a lie, and it was cruel. I didn't have friends, but I wasn't going to waste my money on some poor actors working for barely minimum wage. I couldn't imagine what it was that friends did anyway. Did they just follow students around? How do you even have a fake friendship? Why capitalize on friendship? It just seemed so wrong to me, going against human nature. We naturally make friends in different social settings like college, school, and work. Why fake it? It didn't make sense that instead of encouraging kids to start new clubs based on different interests, they had brought in a service that was practically taking away human rights. Did the friends have to act a certain way? What if they caved in and broke out laughing? Well, I'd never seen one, mainly because they're pretty rare on campus. I've been told in the past, when they were first implemented, a year before I started, that they were everywhere. But like everything else that gets popular, internet trends, celebrities, and latest TV show, they got old pretty quickly, being forgotten about in less than a month. The only trace of them was the crazy red-haired woman outside my dorm. Well, I'd like to say that I blanked them, went along with my life, ignoring their existence. But I can't say that. I can say, however, that Melody in her forced enthusiasm had crawled into my head, latching on to my thoughts. I don't know how she did it. Maybe she drugged me, sprinkling me with voodoo dust or whatever. Something to mess with my brain chemistry and bring down my walls. Well, she was successful. Whether it was her continuous speeches via megaphone outside my dorms every morning and night, or she had in fact somehow drugged the cereal bar I'd eaten, well, I started to wonder if maybe a friend was what was best. I've been lying to my mum every night when she called me. I told her I'd made a whole bunch of friends and we hung out every night. When she asked to talk to them, or for me to send pictures, I told her I would. But of course I never did. And I was getting tired of lying to Mom. I was getting tired of making up new names, pretending I was doing all these outlandish things when I wasn't. The most outlandish thing I'd done was watch series online to illegally stream the new Black Widow movie. So, I guess that's how I found myself outside the Friend Center, right on the edge of campus. The day was over. My class is done for the day. All I wanted was to get back to my dorm before my roommate, so I could get some quiet time to myself. Instead, I'd found myself gravitating towards the center. It was a monster of a building made entirely of glass, oblong-shaped. When I looked up, the glare of the sun reflected off of checkerboard windows. Apparently the whole project had drained the college of money. They couldn't even afford to send their football team to state championships. The sky was darkening, campus slowly emptying. The center was lit up in white light that was supposed to look welcoming. To me, though, it looked eerie, like I was stepping into a spaceship. I don't know how I ended up outside. Melody's words had been playing like a stuck record at the back of my head all day. Are you lonely, Cole? I tried to suppress them, but they came back stronger, setting off a whirlwind in my mind. Thoughts hit like ice-cold water, cruel and relentless, and I couldn't stop them. I was lonely. Fuck, I was lonely. I didn't have friends. Weeks had gone by, and I still hadn't made any. Was it me? Was I the problem? There were kids in my classes that shared my interests. I knew that. And one girl had gone on a half-hour rant about why Marvel was better than DC. I got a guy in front of me secretly watching one of my favorite animes on his laptop. It was me, I kept thinking. They were there, I just didn't know how to take the first step. Talking was easy, right? It's just opening your mouth and speaking. All it took was a hey. Except a simple hey. It was hard for me, especially when my classmates had already connected with others, sitting in pairs and groups. They'd already made their friend groups. I wasn't the only one. I'm sure there were others who sat on their own. Maybe they preferred their own company. It had hit me like a wave, and I hated it. And I hated that crazy woman who got into my head. Well, as much as I was in denial, I craved that social interaction that Melody had talked about. I needed that communication, people to hang out with, to judge and appreciate me. I needed friends. I needed them or I was going to go insane. 7 a.m. ramblings had led me to the place I didn't even think I'd ever end up. Well, on my way to classes, I glimpsed freshmen stop and stare through the windows, like they were considering it, but they never actually walked in. When I took a hesitant step inside, I found myself pleasantly surprised. I don't know what I'd expected. From the look of the outside, the place reminded me of a hospital. But instead, it was like walking into an Apple store. The reception looked modern. There was a glass desk with a youngish-looking woman situated behind it. The place was separated into two, a customer service area and a section where arcade-like machines were dotted around. Each one had "Friend" printed in silver letters, and below that, a photo of a group of smiling teenagers with over-the-top smiles and bright eyes, like the ones you get on the cover of a textbook. Well, the place was homely. I had to give it that. There was a sitting area with couches around a coffee table strewn with comics and magazines. The walls were covered in photos of supposed customers, and below that, reviews. I wondered if they were made up. I knew nobody my age would say, "Fantastic service," followed by a plethora of exclamation marks and a smiley face. I saw another photo, one of two girls with their arms around each other. Oh, before I met Olivia, I spent most of my time in my room. But Olivia made me happy again. She made me realize how special friendship is, and I'm lucky to have her. Well, I scoffed at that one, hiding a discreet smile. What exactly did these kids expect? I kept wondering. Their friends weren't real. They were paid to follow lonely people around and pretend to be their friends. That was all fake bullshit, an opportunity to prey on the student body for even more cash. Yet, I was standing there in the friend center willingly. I was a hypocrite, laughing at everyone who'd given in and bought a friend. At the back of my mind, I really was considering it too. Who else was I going to talk to for a year? My roommate? And as expected, the whole place was empty. I was the only customer. I'd only taken a few steps before the receptionist made her way over, her heels click-clacking on marble flooring. She was maybe a few years older than me, with curly blonde hair sitting on her shoulders. The girl was smartly dressed in a white blouse and pencil skirt. "Can I help you?" Oh, she was smiling so much I thought her cheeks were going to concave in on themselves. I'm just looking around," I said. When she frowned at me, like what I'd said was gibberish, I stumbled over to one of the machines. Well, I had a plan of sorts. I'd mess around with the machine for maybe 5 minutes. When she was distracted, I'd make a quick getaway. Sure, the place was nice, but I was put off by the lack of students. The machine I'd stepped in front of was already on, and I found myself staring at a white screen. "Start" was printed in the middle. Underneath that, "Need help? Talk to our friendly team." The machine was touchscreen, so I tapped the start button, and a box popped up. "How many friends are you making today?" What the hell, I thought. Well, the maximum you can make was 10, so I made 3. The whole thing reminded me of creating a sim. First I had to pick 3 names. I picked Finn, Evie, and Kai. Based on Finn from Adventure Time, Evie from Pokemon, and Kai, well, I just liked the name. Creating them was the hardest part. I wasn't expecting there to be so many features. I didn't think an accent option would pop up. So I played around with it, making 2 of them American and 1 Australian. I always wanted to meet an Aussie. And it was like the damn thing could read my mind. When I was happy with what they looked like, as well as their basic backgrounds, I tapped the green tick icon at the bottom of the screen, which took me to a list of default personalities. I clicked random ones. And then, when it asked me to input a story for each of them, I tapped random ones that had already been used. Dark academia, tragic backstory, dead parents, wants revenge. I guess others who'd used the machine really liked that kind of thing. In a way, it was like creating actual characters, not just people. I expected it to be a simple, create a person, but it was much more than that. They didn't just want me to create someone. They wanted me to create a life for them. Well, at that point, I just wanted to see what they officially looked like. Unlike other games, where you could see what your characters looked like, this was different. I could choose what they looked like, but I couldn't see them. Appearance-wise, I used the randomizer a lot. I think I accidentally gave them runes on their arms to fit in with their backstories. When I was done, I clicked Finish, and the screen looked like it glitched for a moment. The information I'd spent nearly half an hour inputting, disappearing, before reappearing. A box popped up. I expected my characters to pop up on the screen, but instead I was greeted to a loading icon spinning around. The text below it sent my stomach slithering into my throat. Process complete. Now creating 1 of 3. Finn, $250. Evie, $250. Kai, $250. Total $750. Oh fuck, I thought. I barely had enough cash to get by, and I'd just wasted nearly $800 on a service on 3 actors I'd made into so-called friends. The idea of them coming out with the bullshit I'd inputted made me want to rip out my hair. God, what was I thinking? Well, I wasn't, and that was it. I'd found myself actually enjoying creating these things, and I just accidentally had made reality. I started to panic, shivers spiking down my spine. Mom was gonna kill me. Tapping cancel, nothing happened. Another screen popped up telling me to be patient, like it was laughing at me. Oh, fuck. I stabbed at the screen again, but I was just met with another patronizing message to please wait. In the end, I kicked the machine, searching for an off button. There had to be an off button. Is everything okay? The receptionist had seemingly appeared out of nowhere, and I nearly jumped out of my skin. I must have looked panicky, no matter how hard I tried to hide it. I made a mistake, I managed to choke out, gesturing to the screen. Look, I didn't mean to make them. I was just messing around. The woman fixed me with a smile. Oh, sweetie, nobody comes in here accidentally. Everybody wants a friend. Right, I said, bouncing on my toes. I couldn't keep still. Can you cancel it? At this, she lost her smile. Oh no, we can't do that. The process begins as soon as you tap the create icon. Your friends are currently being made. There is no way to stop it, and even if we tried, that would be very bad. Well, I tried not to think about what the latter of what she'd said had meant. Made? I repeated. Yes, it takes an hour or two. I couldn't resist rolling my eyes. So, that's them, like, getting into costume, right? The woman tapped her nose, her lips curving into a smile. I'm afraid I can't answer that. We only ask that you refrain from inquiring about the production of our friends. We work hard to provide you with fast service which delivers them to your door once purchased. As you already know, they're exclusive to this college, and this college only. Capturing them on film is forbidden. She laughed then, but wasn't sure what exactly she was finding funny. However, if you do in fact take a video or a photo, they'll fail to appear on any footage you may have. If you have questions regarding a fault, please do not hesitate to contact help and support. If there's a problem with your friend, they will automatically send a call to inform us, and we'll send help right away. Now, please do not intoxicate your friend. Smoking, drinking, and substance abuse will result in a permanent suspension. If your friend displays any of the following symptoms, please contact us immediately. Symptoms include signs of distress. The woman was talking like a straight-up robot, giving me the terms and conditions. And from what she was saying, she was treating them like, well, like they weren't human. Like they were actual products to buy. Wait, I couldn't help saying. These, things. They're just acting right. That's what everyone says. They're just people you guys hire. She blinked. Is there anything else I can help you with? It was like talking to a brick wall. Are you serious? I'm asking if your friends are people you hire. I saw perhaps a glimmer of emotion in her expression when her eyes darkened, her lip curling. I'm sorry, I'm unable to answer that. If you have any questions regarding your friends, please head to the information desk. Didn't you hear me? I gritted out. I don't want them. I can't afford one, never mind 3. I expected her to get mad, maybe ring her manager. But she just smiled, and I started to wonder if she was even human. No person could maintain a smile for that long. There's no problem. If you have financial difficulties, we can set up a payment plan. We rarely take money up front. It's only when students are comfortable paying. Well, they had me by the balls. Even if I couldn't afford it, they were insistent. Before I could coerce some kind of argument, the smiling woman led me to the main desk where I reluctantly handed over my details. Her eyes were on the screen in front of her, and every so often she'd chuckle, shooting me a grin. They have lovely names. use, she said, though she squinted as the screen flickered in front of her. She was going through what I'd created. I could see her judging the runes on their arms, or maybe the generic body types I'd given them. I kept wondering how exactly they were going to recreate my designs. Did they have a whole bunch of people ready to go? Are there any changes you want to make? I can't make any guarantees they'll make it into the final products, but we'll do our best to try. Before I could answer, she handed over a small card. That's your payment card. When you feel happy to pay little by little, just come back here and head over to the payment machines at the very back. You can pay a maximum of $500 every day. Please keep your card with you at all times. If you lose it, you'll be required to buy a new one, which will be $50. Once again, if your friends start showing signs of distress or erratic behavior, please contact us immediately. Failure to do so will result in an automatic suspension. Moorhead College reserve the right to withdraw you from our premises if any of these conditions are breached. She took a breath, which made me realize she was, in fact, not a robot. Do you have any more questions? Your friends will be ready in up to 2 hours. Delivery times may vary, though it is usually on time. Well, I just wanted to get out of there. Her words were giving me a migraine. Right, thanks, I said, even when I had nothing to thank her for. Buying them hadn't exactly been a choice. When I stepped out into the cool night air, several things were on my mind. I was thinking about going home, and I wouldn't have to deal with whatever friends they sent me. My roommate was surely going to question them, and I couldn't think of a good enough lie. How was I going to explain 3 20-something-year-olds covered in rune-like markings? I made my way back to my dorm, practically dragging myself back to my room. When I pushed the door open, there was no sign of my roommate. I didn't even know his name. Andy or Adam? Something like that. With the room to myself, I ordered takeaway pizza and booted up Minecraft. But I couldn't concentrate on the food or the game. All I could think about was the friends I'd made. Well, really made. Wondered if they were going to slip out of character and act like normal people, though the receptionist's words came back to haunt me. If your friend shows signs of erratic behavior or appears to be distressed. What the fuck did that mean? I kept thinking. Was that when actors broke down? 2 hours passed. Then 3. I started to wonder if they cancelled them after all. After staring at my desktop background for what felt like forever, my eyes grew heavy. I don't remember falling asleep, but I woke to someone banging on the door. Oh, my roommate, I thought. Had to be. Except that he had a key. He wouldn't knock on the door of his own room. I got up, dragging myself to the door. And when I opened it, I found myself face to face with one of the guys from down the hall. Ethan, I think his name was. He looked half asleep, dark curls falling over his eyes. "Number 12, he grunted, eyeing my door. I guess calling me by my room number would suffice if he didn't know my name. "Dude, there's some kids downstairs waiting for you. They can't get in the dorms." I found myself nodding. Yeah, I'll let them in." The boy huffed, running his fingers through his hair. "Hey, can you tell him to keep it down next time, alright? I'll just give him your key. Oh man, I got class in the morning. I'm trying to get a decent night's sleep." "Yeah, right. I'll let them know." He hovered for a moment, his gaze drinking me in. "They, friends of yours?" "Sort of." Ethan smirked. "Oh, sweet. Hey, if she's single, send me the tatted girl's number. I'm just down the hall. The door with a fucked up lock." He then turned to walk away. "Hell, send all 3 if you want. I'm into that kind of shit." Before I could reply, Ethan was making his way back down the hall. When the door to his room slammed shut, I made my way downstairs. The doors were quiet for a weeknight. Usually a party would be happening, but every door was silent. I took my time going down the stairs, overthinking what I'd say to the friends. I hoped it wasn't a 24/7 thing. Or maybe they hung out in intervals. They had lives too, I guessed. When I pushed the doors to the boys' dorm open, there they were. The friends I'd made only hours earlier. It seemed crazy to be looking at them in the flesh. They looked almost identical to how I'd made them, right down to the tiny details. I knew who each of them were automatically, by how I'd made them. I remember giving Finn dark curls, a baseball cap over the top, and Kai reddish-brown hair which fell in his eyes. Both of them had light tan skin. Evie had short blonde curls tied into a ribbon. The ribbon had been a last-minute thing. Well, I'm not exactly a designer, but I figured it would go with her pasty skin and freckles. And it did, almost too well. I expected the rune-like markings to look trashy and wrong, like a toddler had scribbled over their skin in black marker. When I fully took the three of them in, they looked perfect. The runes weren't too noticeable, etched into their skin. The markings looked good, amazing even. In real life, the tattoos covering the three's arms and neck were beautiful, perfect, intricate lines of obsidian decorating smooth skin. They looked exactly how I'd made them. All of them random options I'd picked for their backstories and lives. All the characters I'd made were real. They were living, breathing people standing directly in front of me. Part of me was confused why the service was so dead. Wouldn't kids want to make their own characters and bring them to life? They had the opportunity to essentially make Sims however they wanted and turn them into real people. Maybe the $250 was money well spent if they were going to look this good. That's what I thought when I pulled open the door, my heart in my throat. The three of them had been talking amongst themselves before I'd opened the door. Maybe they were talking out of character, I thought. I choked on a greeting, which was mostly just noises coming out of my mouth. Finn offered me a smile, raising his tatted hand in a wave. I managed to nod and smile. I caught something catch the light. Looking closer, I glimpsed what looked like a Bluetooth headset attached to his ear. Evie and Kai had them too. The earpieces were flashing, a tiny blue light blinking every few seconds. I thought. Maybe they were fed their lines through them. That made sense, though the earpieces were giving me a bad feeling. You took your time, Finn said, snapping me out of it. His smile was friendly. You're cool, right? Yeah, I said. Hey. What's up? Kai gave me a nod. His Aussie accent was a little bit too forced, but I still appreciated it. Evie hugged me. She smelled strange, like disinfectant mixed with lemons. It was exactly how I'd made her, though. When I was flicking through personality traits, I tapped sweet and a good friend. Nice to meet you. Evie pulled away. Her expression, like the boys', was natural. It felt like I actually had real friends. I'd expected awkward conversation on the way up to my room, but it felt right. Like I'd met them in class and took them back to my dorm to hang out. I expected them to start talking about their lives, which were the weird stories I'd added from the random generator. To my surprise, though, they talked about normal things. Finn started a conversation about one of my favorite shows, but I didn't remember adding it to his description. Still, though, he knew it well, and I found myself in a genuine conversation with him over his favorite character. When we reached my room, I made them drinks and they sat on the floor. It's not like they had anywhere else to sit. My roommate still wasn't back, which was a relief, and I set down 3 cups of hot chocolate. Evie grabbed hers and took a sip, but the boys ignored their drinks, focusing their attention on me. Okay, so you guys should know. This is a misunderstanding. I was messing around at the machine and the lady forced me to get you, buy you. Finn sat cross-legged, his gaze stuck to the ceiling. You don't have to apologize, dude. It's cool. I nodded, relieved. I was getting progressively more comfortable with them. So, are you guys, hired by the college? Hired? Kai shot me a look. What do you mean by that? I felt my cheeks blossom scarlet. You get paid to be my friend. Evie frowned. She took another sip of her drink. When I looked closer, though, she wasn't actually drinking it. The girl's lips were pressed to the rim of the mug, but she wasn't opening her mouth. Evie was pretending to drink. "Cool. We are your friends," she said. "You asked us to come and hang out with you, so here we are." "In the flesh," Kai added, almost in symphony with Evie. "No, that's not what I'm talking about." I held my breath, steeling myself. "Look, you can cut it out now. You can talk out of character, or whatever." I pointed to their earpieces. "You don't have to wear them if you don't want to. They won't know." I spread out my arms, gesturing to my room. "We can just hang out for tonight, okay?" "What earpieces?" Finn touched his left ear, his fingers skimming over the device, but it was like he didn't notice it. Jumping to his feet, the boy wandered over to my refrigerator. "Do you have any food, Cole?" "Food?" Evie said, Kai nodding along. "Yeah, food would be great." Initially, they were acting normal, like actual friends. A conversation natural. Now, though, I was starting to notice something was off. The three of them seemed to be in perfect sync. Well, Evie and Kai were. I noticed Finn stumbled slightly, nearly tripping over his own feet. His steps were like a baby deer learning to walk. I nodded. The sooner I got them out of there, the better. They were freaking me out. Not just what they were saying, their mannerisms. "Yeah, I can order you guys pizza if you want." I grabbed my phone to call the pizza place on campus. And out the corner of my eye, Finn was already eating, stuffing something in his mouth. It took me a disorienting moment to realize raw bacon was hanging out of his mouth. Fleshy white pieces clenched between his fists. "What the hell are you doing?" I snatched the packet from him, pulling bits of fat from between his fingers. He was stiff, unmoving, his gaze piercing right through me. "Man, are you insane?" I bit out. "That's raw." The boy blinked, and then he laughed. "Oh, right. Yeah." Finn spat out the bacon and wiped his mouth, sending me an apologetic smile. "Sorry about that, He trailed off, his gaze somewhere else entirely. Hungry," Finn finished. "Yeah, I'm hungry." "Hungry," Kai and Evie murmured. Well, I was done. "Okay, can you stop?" I tried to smile, tried to laugh, but my stomach was twisting, my chest squeezing. As much as I tried to tell myself Finn was joking around, and everything was just that, an elaborate joke, I couldn't stop thinking about the way he'd looked at me, the way Evie and Kai spoke in sync. Finn had eaten raw bacon completely out of nowhere, and when I told him it was wrong, he looked genuinely confused, like he was a child being told not to eat poisonous things. "Whatever you're doing, it's not funny." Cocking his head, Finn blinked. I could have sworn his expression glitched. His eyes flickered for a moment, and he jerked his head. "Stop what?" Finn twitched again. This time his whole body spasmed, but he kept talking, kept smiling. His fingers went to the earpiece, gripping onto it and pulling, but it was stuck. He tried again, his hand falling to his side and then coming up again, this time like it had a mind of its own, clawing at the device. Maybe I was crazy, but it was like watching two separate people. Finn, who was talking to me in a robotic drone, and his arm, who was trying and failing to grip and pull and tear at the earpiece stuck to his ear. "We're not doing anything. We're just being your friend. Isn't that what you want?" I couldn't help myself. "That device," I whispered. "What is it?" Finn laughed. "What device?" he said. Then he said it again and again, a faint laugh spurting from his lips, eyes flickering. This time his arms were by his sides. I watched the moment he tried to move them, or at least his body did. He attempted to lift them, but he was weak. "Hey, are you okay?" I hesitantly stepped in front of him. Up close, he didn't look human. His expression was the exact same, a permanent grin, wide eyes, but I saw past that. I saw twitching limbs that were struggling, attempting to regain some kind of control. Without thinking, I grabbed his earpiece and tugged as hard as I could, but it wouldn't come off. I tried again, but it's like the Bluetooth, or whatever it was permanently stuck to his ear. When I searched for some kind of latch or way to take it off, there wasn't one. I was on my third pull when Finn asked me the same question over and over again. What device? What device? What device? In the exact same tone before, something warm slid down my fingers. Blood. No, not just blood. Something was there. Tiny, fleshy, stringy pieces covering my fingers. Like spider webs. When I let out a cry, so did Finn. Then the others. Evie slammed her hands over her ears and Kai tore at his face. But this was like a synchronized banshee wail, one I'd never heard before. Finn dropped to his knees and I fell with him. Get it off. His voice was different, harsher. I could barely recognize it. My attention was on his ear, the one I'd tried to pull the device from. Something was hanging out of it, streaming out in pooling, glistening crimson. The device itself was still stuck to his flesh, but the blinking blue light that had been blinking in intervals had stopped. Do you hear me? He screamed. His eyes were wide, unseeing. Get it off me! I staggered back, falling on my ass. Get what off? I knew what he was talking about. The device, the thing glued to his ear. Sam. Finn's grip on my arms was harsh, his fingernails slicing into my skin. He was looking at me, blinking rapidly. Tears were rolling down his cheeks. So much emotion had exploded onto his face, and I realized I wasn't looking at Finn anymore. I was looking at someone who was made into Finn. Sam, is that you? I couldn't respond, just trying to get hold of the device. But the more I pulled, his body seemed to twitch and spasm, blood pooling from every orifice, that spiderweb-like substance coating my fingers. I can't get it off. I didn't do it, Finn whispered, blindly clawing at my face, like he was touching someone else. I didn't do it, I swear. I didn't do it. I didn't do it, please. Please believe me, Sam. I didn't do it. I didn't kill you. It was a setup, I swear. They set me up. I didn't kill you. He seemed to catch hold of himself, falling into me, his trembling body struggling to stand. His voice changed again. He was talking to me now. Knock me out. You need to knock me out right now. If you don't, the emergency fault line will trigger and they'll come for us. What? He let out an exasperated breath. If you knock out the signal, it'll stop responding. If you pull off the earpieces, you'll kill us. Do you understand me? Finn was speaking through gritted teeth. The earpieces are plugged directly into our... He let out a sharp cry, his head jerking, twitching. Oh shit, I can feel it. I can feel it in my head. It's trying to get into my head, he whined. Oh please, you have to stop it. You have to fucking knock me out. I was already reaching for a paperweight, a gift my mom had given me when I left home. I didn't know who I was talking to, but smashing a paperweight into a boy's head really didn't seem like the best idea. Do it, Finn whispered into the floor. His whine became a shriek, his fingers grabbing fistfuls of his hair. Oh, just do it. Do it, do it, do it. Something cold slithered down my spine. I didn't think, I just acted. Before I could hesitate, I slammed the paperweight into the boy's head and he dropped to the ground. Evie and Kai followed suit. I waited for them to wake up. But hours passed. The sky started to lighten, cotton candy pink clouds blooming on the horizon. I'd sat myself in front of Finn, watching for flickering eyes or twitching lips, but he was still unmoving. When I pressed my ear to his chest, I got a heartbeat. He was breathing, so why wasn't he waking up? My attention went to the devices, though trying to pull them off seemed to hurt them more. When I was slowly falling asleep, struggling to keep my gaze on the three of them, something caught my eye. Well, it was fast, but I saw it. Making my way over to Finn, I noticed something was crawling from his nose. Well, maybe I was seeing things, but there were tiny bugs skittering on metallic legs, leaving a trail of crimson in their path. They started off in ones and twos, but then they were streaming from his nose and ears slipping from his parted lips. I staggered back, trying to hold in a cry. The bugs, or whatever they were too fast for me. I don't know where they've gone. It's been 3 hours and they're still not waking up. Are they dead? They're still bleeding and I can't stop it. When I try and wrench off the earpiece, it's like their bodies start spasming. Like they're having a seizure. God, can someone please tell me what the hell is going on? What are these things? Okay, what the hell was going on there? What was that about? That was weird and wonderful, and oh my god, I don't even know how to describe it. So, quite a bit of interesting entertainment for your Friday evening. Hope you enjoyed that one. Well, back again on Sunday, probably. Yeah, why not? Want a video on Sunday? If you do, let me know in the video comments section. And as ever, I'll do my best to join in the chat. Well, that's it for this Friday night. Oh, I had a long week and a bit tired, but yeah, done now. See you again on Sunday. You going to join me, aren't you? Of course you are. So until then, my dear friends, very, very sweet dreams and bye-bye. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this story today. It really means a lot to me and to the author of the story, of course. Well, if you want to know more about me, I'm pretty much everywhere on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can download my music on SoundCloud. I've got a Patreon if you feel like. Throw me $1 or $2. Very much appreciated. And of course, on Reddit, I have a place where you can leave stories if you want me to read one that you've written. Well, hoping to see you all again very soon. Till then, sweet dreams, and bye-bye.